Well, having been in the Parliament for several years with Catalan colleagues, I think it's very exciting. It's been very interesting to watch the gradual development over the years of the moves towards self-determination. And of course, I belong to the European Free Alliance, a group of parties in the same situation. But for Scotland and for Catalonia, of course, they've been way ahead of most of us. And constitutionally, every case is totally unique. So while I watch, as a Welsh MEP, I watch the developments with great interest. The Scottish referendum created such a debate and such new interest in the whole process. And just as importantly, perhaps, the questions of what would happen if Scotland had voted to become independent, what happens on a European level then and to EU membership. And so now the developments in Catalonia are taking that forward from where the Scottish referendum left off. And we had a seminar earlier this week in the European Parliament on the right to decide of the people of Catalonia, which was attended by many, many people, and there were lots of questions and there's tremendous interest. And I think it does show that people across Europe are realising that this EU we have is not static, that things are changing, and that people demand the right to determine their own future. I believe that people have seen the comparison between Scotland and Catalonia, that the people of Scotland did have that right, and that the people in Catalonia are being denied that right. And I think you're right. I think I agree that people, whatever they think about which way people should vote, recognise that people do have the right to vote. And there have been very detailed and interesting debates about this and about how that value and that principle should be upheld on a European Union level. I don't know if that's happening on an individual level. What I do know is from the meetings that we've had and the debates that we've had, there's a very strong message from the sections of the Parliament anyway. I represent Wales. In Wales, there's a tremendous support for the Catalan people and for the campaign for self-determination for Catalonia. If you look on social media, there's huge international support. And so I'm sure he does see that. He must see those messages of support from people, not just across Europe, but outside Europe as well. Well, it's been a bit unexpected. We hoped very much, and we worked hard supporting the Scottish people and the SNP for a yes vote. And so the no vote was a disappointment, but I think that the subsequent events have been quite surprising. Firstly, how quickly things have changed, that the impact on Wales has been quite considerable, that we did already have an act going through Parliament which would have given us some more powers, but already that is being strengthened. The different parties in Wales are coming together, are talking about the best way forward. At a UK level, there's a commission being set up to look at the impact on the UK. In the House of Commons, there's been debates between the parties. So at the moment, there's a lot of discussion going on. Now, obviously, the UK government, the UK parties, I should say, before the referendum, promised lots of things to the Scottish people. For us, our demand is that what Scotland gets in terms of extra powers, Wales should get the same. Because up until now, it's been very piecemeal and very unbalanced in terms of the comparison between us and Scotland in terms of powers. But of course, what's being offered to Scotland now is not quite what was offered before the referendum either. And so it's interesting that the Yes campaign in Scotland is a mass movement now demanding change, and that's having an impact right across the UK. So we don't know yet exactly what the future will hold for us, but we know that any negotiations that take place, we want to be there, we want to be part of it, because we are not in the same situation as Catalonia or Scotland. We have to have more powers and move towards self-government to strengthen our economy. But independence is our goal too. But as I said earlier, every nation will reach independence in their own unique way, and we will find our way too. No, what we've set out are a number of steps that we want. Firstly, a lot more powers for the Welsh Government, so that we can actually strengthen the economy, powers over energy, for example, energy projects, and a whole range of issues, which would mean that we could really have an effective economic plan and create jobs and take large parts of the country out of the poverty levels that we have now. We also want, as a part of that, to have tax varying powers. And there are some parties that want a referendum on that. We don't think that's necessary, because the majority of people in Wales agree on that we need more powers. So we're not looking at a referendum now on the way forward, but of course any major constitutional change has to be made by the people. And so at certain stages along the way, yes, of course, it's the people that must decide the way forward. But yes, in our language we have different tenses, and so the different yes answer depends on the tense in which you ask the question. But that wouldn't be an obstacle to us getting a yes vote, I can assure you.
Well, for me to understand, it would be like, do you want to come tonight? I do. Instead of saying yes, it's I do. That would be kind of an idea of how you say yes.
Yes.
It's interesting. The same thing happens with no.
Yes, yes. We have a very interesting language, and a very old and a very different Celtic language in Europe. And one of the things that we want is to get that language recognised on a European level as well. It's an official language in Wales, of course, but not yet in Europe. And one of the ways that we want to see the EU developing is to recognise and give equality to all peoples and all of us who speak all the official languages in our countries, like Catalan as well, of course. It's easy to feel like that from outside, because we all want to push the boundaries and to move things forward. But it's respect for the decisions of the Catalan people. The Catalan people have to decide how far they go and how fast they go. And we respect that, and we will do what we can to support the campaign, come back on the 9th of November and be here to see what's happened as we went to Scotland. But all we can do, the most we can do, I think, is to support one another. We can't tell each other how to do things.